Gracias por ver la esquina de Jody. Thank you for watching Jody's Corner.
What's up, guys? This is going to be our movie review for After the Hunt. After the Hunt stars Julia Roberts, and we have the girl from The Bear, the black girl, Ayo, I think her name is. She has what's like an African-sounding name, I guess. I'm sorry, I'd rather not say your full name if I'm going to butcher the other part. I think her name is Ayo. And you also got Andrew Garfield in this bad boy. So, just got out of the theater from watching it, and this is going to be the review of... Basically, I'm going to sum this up. I'm going to keep it real with you guys as we moving along. This movie is very pretentious. So I'm going to just say that right now. We're introduced to their circle of friends. They have people over, they have their little tart time, they have their little discussions, and there's an opening scene in this movie where they're just sitting around talking at like their version of a party, which is basically a lot of people saying, how do you do? With good wine. This wine is very delicious. What vintage is it? What's the vintage? A 1963? I knew it. Indubitably. It's these type of people. As a Prius is about to cut me off, do what Priuses do. If you drive a Prius, you're a douchebag. That's just plain and simple. People who drive Priuses can't drive. That's why they have Priuses. Worst cars on the road. Stay safe around Priuses. You see a Prius, get out the way because they might crash into you. Besides that, and actually there's two of them here. Oh, to be in California. So they have this, there's like this 5-10 minute discussion about these philosophical, intelligent people talking about how, oh, the philosophy of Newton, or the philosophy of they mention all these artists that no one really knows unless you're freaking goddamn genius and boring and don't have a nightlife. So it's very middle-aged, it's very high in intellect, but it's also pretentious. It's very, while I understand everything that's happening, it's just like I'm exhausted by some of the conversations that these characters are having. Like just imagine being at a picnic of people that you don't care to be about, who pretend that they're smarter and greater than everybody else, and you just listen to their conversation and they're saying a lot of words, but they're saying a lot of nothing. Something that a lot of people in our culture would just talk regular to people, that has more meaning and affection, that has more realness. And that's the problem with this movie. There's not much realness involved here. This is a glimpse in the story of someone who's rich, someone who has a whole lot of privilege, people who have a lot of privilege and are in this high society stakes. You know, these people are working around Yale, have these books released and published. These are millionaires living in their fancy homes and all that. And their problems are not speaking to they have these lifestyles that put them in a weird box. But as a regular viewer, I'm watching them, I'm seeing the things that they're going through. So there's something that Julia Roberts' character, she goes through that puts her in turmoil. She has this student who's one of her students in her philosophy class who is enthralled with her. She's completely smitten over Julia Roberts' character. She's attracted to her. She wants to be like her. She is impressed by her beauty and her brains. She's like a protege with like too much time on her hands. And her Julia Roberts' husband's character, she wants to, he's letting her know, like, yo, you got this black chick who's in your class who idolizes you. She wants to dress like you, be like you. Do you feel? But here's the thing about it, because this is where we find out, this black chick who's, you know, impressed with Julia Roberts' character, she's gay. She's LGBTQ. And what's funny is that you know how she's LGBTQ because they put the nose ring in the septum. She got a septum ring, so you know she's damaged, or you know that she's funky, or you know she's in the LGBTQ, or you know that she. So like I find it funny how that's how they wrote it like that. I'm like, okay, for sure. That's because there's no other way you could tell that she was gay except that ring. Because that nose ring, I don't know about y'all where y'all from, but definitely in LA, Los Angeles, seeing that septum ring, it's a statement. It's saying something. Whether it be LGBTQ or, you know, damaged life or rebellious lifestyle or fight the power, it's a statement for sure. You know what I'm saying? That piercing your septum is a real thing. So anyway, this husband, I gotta just tell you, man. So This is a pretentious movie, and I don't think that. So they spend the full time boring you to death with like, what's going on? Why are we watching this movie? Why is this such a big deal? There's a lot of questions I'm asking myself, like why, and more why. Like am I watching this movie? Why do I care? Because I feel like they gave me a window into the lives of some very mid people. She has this husband, and let me tell you, the only person that I cared about at the end of walking out of this movie was the husband, because he's the only one that had a humanity to him. Even though he's in this prestigious place, there's something that really affects him that a lot of people can relate to, they can empathize with. And that's being a husband of a woman who's emotionally unavailable to him, a woman who doesn't show him love and affection. He's in a Al Bundy marriage, he's miserable, and I don't care what class you're in, whether you're uber rich, middle class, upper middle class, lower middle class, poor, impoverished, poverty, everybody could sympathize and empathize and relate to having or being with a woman that doesn't show them love. A lot of people can relate to that. Even though some people have great marriages, but at least there's been a point where somebody get curved by a girl that they like, the girl don't show them the love that he show her. That's a very human thing. And I'm not saying that no other character experiences things. Like there's clearly some drug abuse in this film. A character, Julia Roberts' character, she's a drunk. She's overall a bad person. So we're watching bad people who are successful and fall back into success, even though their souls are dark. I came out of this movie feeling dissatisfied, even though the ending of the movie had something that was pretty decent in it. It's like this movie is a big, it's like beaten off, but you don't blam yet. It's like 2 hours of beating off. Now your meat's, it's tired, it's sore, and you just want to get this rock off. And then the rock you get off is a leaky one that didn't have the full on blah. You know what I mean? It just, oh dang, it leaked out already. Oh shoot, that was a nut wasted. That's what this movie was. I'm sorry for the vulgarity. I might edit that out. So this movie was like a blue ball fest. Like you're waiting and waiting and waiting. And when it finally gives you something, it's because the movie has been so uneventful. When you finally get something that normally you wouldn't care about, you kind of care about it because this movie has been starving you with dramatically, like for some drama, some intensity. There's moments where there's some intense conversations. I will admit that. But after this movie was like a blue ball fest. Like you're waiting and waiting and waiting. And when it finally gives you something, it's because the movie has been so uneventful. When you finally get something that normally you wouldn't care about, you kind of care about it because this movie has been starving you with dramatically, like for some drama, some intensity. There's moments where there's some intense conversations. I will admit that. But after those conversations are had, they're not resolved. They just keep pulling you into the next semi-intense conversation. So this movie pulls you into the end because you're going to be asking questions. You're going to see this note. What does this note mean? I'm sorry. Okay. Then we're going to see this apartment. Okay. What's the apartment mean? This duality, this relationship that Julia Roberts' character has with Andrew Garfield, who's also a professor at this school. One of the main overarching themes is that there's a professor who's Andrew Garfield's character plays, is accused of sexual assault by the black student who worships Julia Roberts' character. And it's all about, did he do it? Did she not? Is she trying to like set him up? No, he's saying he's innocent. This thing is labeled like a thriller, but it's not really thrilling. Even though some of the music kicks in with the piano stuff, with the piano riffs, flutes playing and some weird ominous tones, though that music really doesn't help the movie, in my opinion. I feel like the music, the score, if you were, I don't even really think there's a score. It's really just music. The music that they try to and heighten tension with does the actual opposite. Music was kind of whack, a lot of piano, even when times where like this is a serious scene and then piano comes, like music that you would hear at like a 4-star restaurant while you eating. ain't trying to hear that no thriller tense scene between two individuals. That's kind of throwing the mood off. So the music is kind of, the music's trash. I'll be honest with you. Julia Roberts does a really good job as acting. I'm sorry, the chick from The Bear, she does a really good job as well. Andrew Garfield does a good job. Julia Roberts' husband, they all do good jobs. The acting in here is stellar. It's good acting. So I understand how like the film festival be like, oh, au revoir, au revoir. But the writing of this movie is where it falls flat. The writing, I don't know who they're speaking to or speaking for, or who it's for, but there's a very niche audience that would find this riveting or very impactful to them. There's just not enough scenes in the movie to make you feel like what you sat through, which feels like a solid 2.5 hours. It feels every minute of the movie and then more because it's long. And for such a long movie, I'm thinking of the amount of narration. I'm thinking of the amount of meat that they could have given us in that amount of time. And I look at what I actually got and I'm like, what a waste of a length of time. What a waste of a runtime. My God, like, and then the ending of the movie, the actual ending of the movie, they do a 5 years later, which is great. When I saw 5 years later, I'm like, oh yes. Now I can see what happened in the gap from the ending of the movie until like where they are in the present. Underwhelming. Slaps you in the face again, like, okay, there's really no real accountability here, is there? From either side, from anywhere, any point. But there is one major loser, the husband. I feel so very bad for the husband. He's a cuck, he's a beta, he's not a manly man. But that's not why his marriage, that's not why I feel bad for him. It's because he was in a loveless marriage and they didn't explore that relationship. This man loved her unconditionally, and that's the type of love that I want to give and get reciprocated to me. That's the unconditional love is the most pure forms of love after self-love, right? And that man loved her unconditionally. And I'm watching a movie of a woman falling backwards and crashing out in high society white people standards. Her problem, let me tell you right now, the things that Julia Roberts and Andrew Garfield was really going through a case. He had an R case, which is severe. But they didn't really follow what Andrew Garfield was going through from his perspective as the person who was being accused of something so detrimental. We were looking at Julia Roberts crash out when it's like, yo, bump what you talking about. You tripping off some pills and you drink a little bit? You want some real world problems? How about not being able to put food on your table? How about you having kids that freaking are going into gangs and kids that are freaking twisted and being weird? How about you having bills that you can't pay, losing your apartment or place, being homeless? There's real problems out here. And I'm watching this movie and a part of me is getting offended because I'm like, here, who the freak wrote this pompous, pretentious douchebaggery of a script? But there's one character that I actually felt something for, and it was Julia Roberts' husband. I'm watching over 2 hours a movie of characters that I don't give a shit about. And I don't give a shit about Andrew Garfield's character, to be honest, because he did something in the movie that is like, holy freak, bro, really? So it's like the movie has identity issues. I don't think that the movie is achieving what it set out to achieve. And I really don't think that I know exactly what the movie's setting out, what the movie writer is setting out to achieve. Because I would assume that it's about, new generation Alpha, Generation Z dummies who think they know it all, societal weirdos, these new college kids coming into society who are trying to take over and, my feelings are this and mine are that, and they don't work hard for what they want. They can accuse you, they can cancel you, they can agendicize you, and then it's bad. So there's a little tone of like, there's an overarching tone of rage against the machine of the previous society. I feel like we're in a bending point in our society right now where we're transitioning from super fake woke. I'm woke. I'm real woke. And it's always good to be woke. That's our word. It's a black word. But the fake woke that white people think it is, that their agenda, their identity politics that they put in movies, cancel culture, all that bad stuff we don't like, we're transitioning kind of out of that. And this is like a transitional movie into And that's what this movie represents, right? Like, okay, we're going into a newer society and now people are outspoken. The writer who made this movie, the director, they're speaking out against what they had to endure for the last 8 years. And I get that, I could appreciate that, I could respect that, but it just wasn't done well enough. This is another one of those movies, ladies and gentlemen, where an artist, you know, has paparazzi waiting for him in this empty gala with all of this white. Everything's white. And then there's this bucket, a bucket of paint. This artist walks through the door, they're taking flashes at him. Every syllable he speaks, they write down because he's this amazing artist. He comes in, picks up the bucket. He's picking up the bucket. He's walking up to the canvas and he splashes the bucket on the canvas, and then he goes, blah, 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 gets a paintbrush and goes, squibble, squibble, squibble. And then he looks at the crowd and says, voila. And the people are like, oh, it's amazing. Look at its passion and rivalry be cut through like a knife through its subtle innocence and grace. I think it's magnificent. I hate it so much that I love it. It's one of these movies. It's just like, look at how big we are. Look at this. Look at this good long shot. And there's some shots in here that are just bad. There's some shots that completely show the 80% of the room behind the character speaking, which I know why they did that, but it just didn't work. There's some shots where Julia Roberts is center focus in the center of the camera, but she's out of focus. She's legitimately blurred for no reason at all. Like, bro, like, Mr. Director, sir, want to sharpen that scope a little bit? I understand how blur effect could mean something to the character who's watching, but it wasn't a POV shot. So it was really just, yo, you blurred this shit out. This comes off as very low budget, very, very low budget. This is definitely a film festival movie, and that's not a knock on it, because you get a lot of great art from film festivals, but you also get a lot of pretentious art too. Sadly, this falls in the pretentious art category. This movie could have been a lot better, but I appreciate the attempt to do cinema, even though I would not call this cinema. This is definitely film. It's definitely foreign. I think this is an Italian-made movie, so there's that. You know, this is not an American movie. You got American actors in here, but it's not an American-made movie. It's just from the perspective of someone. I feel like whoever wrote this is writing from their bubble, because this movie is not it. Overall, I would just say that this movie's mid. Like, because it does certain things well. Great acting performances. Then you have a mediocre script. You got mediocre, you have decent directing. It's okay. The direction is okay. Then you have a stretched out plot. And then overall, the content of the story just doesn't hit. It just doesn't feel like it matters that much, which is sad. And you don't care about the characters. Like, I didn't care about any of the characters except for the husband. And that didn't happen until like towards the end of the movie. It was like, okay, this movie's gonna be nothing, so give me something to like. And then there's a scene at the end of the movie. There's a couple of scenes towards the end of the movie, the third act of the film, that where he does some really, really heartwarming things that warmed my heart, and it hurt me to see. So that's why I cared about him. In the first act of the movie, I'm like, this cuck simp buster, be a man, be the husband, bro. She's walking all over you. By the end of the movie, I'm like, oh man, I just hope you find love. And then we get to the very end of the movie, and it's like, bruh, I'm sorry, bro. Whatever 60-year-old divorcee, midlife crisis person wrote this or is written for, I just can't understand it, bro. Like, I can't relate, nor can my imagination relate to the small bubble box that this movie is written in and written about and written for. That's what this is. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for the real content. I put effort into the videos, and I really hope that you could appreciate that. Subscribe to Jody's Corner. Leave a comment down below if you guys plan on or have seen this movie. It's a long one. I wouldn't recommend, I gotta be honest, I don't think I would recommend people go spend their time out of their day to go watch this. This is definitely not a recommend for me. I would not recommend people pay the ticket price to go see this movie. This is definitely a movie that you would check out on streaming or on television or on an airplane, a long flight, maybe going to Taiwan. one of those 18-hour joints. I just think of the movie Closer, where Julia Roberts was in the movie Closer, and that was like an indie film, and that had great actors in it, and that movie is fan-freaking-tastic. It had real tension, real drama, it had real everything, bro. It was just hitting on a high level. The movie Closer is definitely something that I would recommend you guys watch if you want Jody's Corner recommendation. Closer is an A or A+ movie, in my opinion. I think it's one of the most riveting, romantic, drama, tension-filled, heartbreaking movies that any person who has ever been in love could endure or watch. So, once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I'm Jody Joe, and this has been Jody's Corner. I'm out. Deuces. The sun's starting to set.